The galactic capital was the center of everything. It hung in space like a massive metal sphere filled with lights and power. It had ruled over 10,000 star systems for thousands of years. When the humans arrived, nobody thought they mattered. Ambassador Harrison stood at the window of his ship and looked at the capital growing bigger in front of him. He was the leader of the human group. There were 12 people on his team. They came from Earth, the planet that the galactic powers had only recently discovered. Most people thought humans were too weak and too new to mean anything. The Council of Seven had called the humans to the capital. These 7 ancient alien races had controlled the galaxy for so long that nobody could remember a time without them. The Council wanted to see if humans were dangerous. They wanted to know if humans could do anything useful. They wanted to decide if humans deserved real power or just a small corner of space. Knew that the Council did not expect much from humanity. The humans had only just learned that aliens existed. They had only just left their own solar system. A few months ago, a human ship had run into an alien trader. That meeting had changed everything. Dr. Lisa Morgan was second in command. She had studied the Council for 3 months. She read everything about how they worked. She learned which species had power and which were weak. She knew that the Council expected humans to act scared. They expected humans to bow and ask for help. They expected humans to do exactly what the Council told them to do. The ship moved closer. The capital grew bigger and bigger, could see the smaller ships moving around it. These ships came from 1,000 different worlds. Each one carried people who wanted something from the Council. Each one hoped the Council would say yes. Captain Henry Cole stood next to. Cole ran the military side of the human mission. He was not a soldier who wanted to fight. Instead, he understood that real power came from being smart and strong at the same time. "Look at that," Cole said. He pointed at a ship that was 5 times bigger than theirs. "That one belongs to the Syndicate. They have been here for 10,000 years. Their ship probably cost more than our entire planet makes in a year." Nodded, he had seen the reports. They had power because they had time and money. The humans had neither. They had only what they brought with them, their brains and their willingness to do the work. The landing took 3 hours. The capital was so big that finding a dock was like finding a house on an entire continent. When the human ship finally stopped, felt the metal shiver. They were here. They were in the greatest place in the galaxy. The walkway from the ship went down, led his team forward. They wore simple clothes made from Earth materials, nothing flashy, nothing that tried to impress, had made that choice on purpose. If the Council wanted to see humans, let them see what humans actually were. The first alien saw was a docking official. It was tall and blue and made of something that looked like metal but moved like skin. It looked at the humans and said nothing. Then it turned away. That should have been a warning, but did not understand it yet. The Council chambers were far away. The humans had to ride in a transport that went through tunnels inside the capital. The tunnels were clean and bright. Everything was made of materials that humans did not have words for. Lisa pressed her face to the window. She counted 17 different types of creatures moving around. Each one seemed to own the space they walked through. The Grand Assembly Hall was bigger than anything on Earth. The ceiling was so high that could not see it properly. The floor was made of something that glowed when people walked on it. On all sides there were seats going up and up. Thousands of alien beings sat in those seats. They were discussing things. They were deciding the fate of worlds. The Council of Seven sat at the highest point. They were old. Even from far away could feel how old they were. Their bodies were different colors and shapes, but their eyes all had the same thing in them. They had seen everything. They did not get surprised anymore. Was the leader? He was a reptile species with scales and eyes that could see through walls, had been the leader of the Council for 3,000 years. He ran the most powerful government in the galaxy. When he moved, billions of people felt it. Looked at the humans. His eyes did not show anger or fear or interest. They showed nothing. It was like looking at a stone. A younger alien, one that looked almost friendly, gestured for to come forward, walked across the floor. Each step made the floor glow. The whole assembly fell quiet. Millions of eyes looked at the small human with brown skin and dark hair and simple clothes. Reached the center of the floor, he stopped. He did not bow, he did not kneel. He just stood there and looked up at the Council. "I am Ambassador Harrison of Earth," he said. His voice was steady. "I come to present humanity's first proposal to the Galactic Council." Did not move, but something changed in the room. The silence became thicker. The aliens in the seats turned their heads a little bit. They were waiting to hear what this small, unknown creature had to say. Lisa stood at the side of the chamber. She held a small device that would show images and data. The humans had prepared this moment for months. They had worked on this proposal every day. Started to speak. He talked about trade. He talked about what Earth could offer. He talked about what Earth needed. He talked about peace and working together. The council listened, but they did not lean forward. They did not ask questions in the middle. They just sat there and let speak. When he finished, nodded one time. "This will be evaluated," the ancient leader said. His voice was like stone grinding against stone. Then turned to the next alien waiting for their turn. The human presentation was over. It had taken 20 minutes. The council had already moved on. Walked back to where Lisa stood. He felt the weight of 3 million eyes watching him go, but he did not feel fear. He felt something else. He felt possibility. The council did not care about humanity, that was clear, but the council's indifference was like an open door. If 3 weeks passed after the human presentation, and his team settled into a section of the capital that belonged to new species. The area was small and not fancy, but it was real space. The humans could walk around, they could observe, they could learn. The crisis came on a normal morning. Was in his quarters when Washington ran to find him. Was the military officer on the team. He never ran, he never showed panic. But his face showed something different now. "The syndicate is in trouble," said. "A research ship vanished. It was carrying a power core prototype. The syndicate is calling for the council to respond." Did not understand why thought this mattered to humans. "That is their problem," said. "We should not get involved." But shook his head. "That is where you are wrong," he said. "I pulled the security records. The ship was taken by pirates, but they were not real pirates. They were refugees, and the data matches a colony that was destroyed 2 years ago. The colony." Felt something shift. They were not important to the council, but they were people, and people mattered. He called a meeting with his core team. Lisa came first, then Dr. Foster, who was their science person, then Captain Cole. They sat in small meeting room. "They will demand a military response," Lisa said. She had been studying the situation too. "The council will send ships. There will be fighting. The refugees will die." Nodded. "I have been checking records," she said. "The colony was lost to a solar flare. The data showed it was coming. But the council decided the colony was not important enough to save. 5 million died. The survivors were left with nothing." Cole was quiet, then he spoke. "We could track them," he said. "The ship, we could find where it went. We could offer a third option." Thought about this? The council expected that to pursue military action. The council would watch, judge, and move on. Nobody would think about the refugees. Nobody would think about why desperate people steal a power core. But humans thought differently. Humans asked why. Humans looked for solutions that did not involve killing everyone. "Make a proposal," said. "Find those refugees, offer the council a better option." For 3 days and worked without sleeping much. They pulled apart the security data. They tracked the ship through space. They found the colony world, and they did something the council's military had not done. They listened to the communications from the... They were not thieves or criminals. They were survivors. They had stolen the power core because their ship was broken. They needed it to travel to a place where they could build a new home. They did not want to hurt anyone. They just wanted to live. When brought the proposal to, the atmosphere in the council chambers changed. This was the first time a new species had offered information that the council did not already have. This was the first time a new species had suggested something that the council had not thought of. "You propose we negotiate with refugees instead of destroying them?" asked. His voice did not show emotion. "I propose we find out why they took the core," said. "I propose we solve their problem and get the core back at the same time. I propose we add thee as members of the galactic community." The council members looked at each other. They did this thing where they seemed to talk without speaking. It lasted for 5 minutes, then turned back to. "Proceed," the ancient leader said. "But if you fail, the responsibility falls to you." Felt the weight of what he had promised. They were watching. The council was watching. If the humans messed this up, their reputation would be damaged. They might be removed from the capital. But believed in his people. He believed in the simple truth that most problems could be solved if you tried to understand them. He sent into the colony world with 3 soldiers. They carried no big weapons. They carried information. They carried hope. When landed on the colony, the situation was dangerous. They were scared. They had weapons. They thought the humans came to take the power core by force. But walked out of his ship without weapons, walked with him. They were small. They were alone. They showed that they were not a threat. Spoke to the leader. His name was, which was funny because that was also the name of the alien species that ran the whole council. But this was different. He was desperate. He was tired. He was a father trying to save his people. Gave him information about his home world. She showed him that the council would listen if someone asked them to. She showed him that humans believed they deserved to exist and to build a new life. "Why do you help us?" asked. He did not understand. Nobody had helped his people before. "Because you matter," said. "Because you deserve better, because we are all stronger together than apart." The power core was returned 2 days later. They got their technology back, but more important, they got their future back. When reported to the council, he did not talk about how good humans were. He just gave facts. The core was recovered. No one died. The colony could be integrated into the galactic system. Everyone won. Looked at for a long time. Then the ancient leader asked a question that changed everything. "What do you want, Ambassador Harrison? What is the price humans demand for this service?" Stood straight, he looked at the council. He looked at all the eyes watching him from the seats all around. "To be taken seriously," he said. "To be allowed to contribute. To build friendships with the peoples of the galaxy based on what we can do, not on what we own or how old we are." The council chambers went silent. Then did something nobody expected. He nodded. It was the change happened faster than expected. Within days, other groups from the capital started reaching out to the human delegation. A trade company wanted to talk about dealing with a difficult neighbor. A group of scientists had questions about human technology. A court wanted human advice about an old argument between two species. Found himself busy every single day. So did Lisa and every other person on the team. The indifference had turned into real attention. The humans mattered now. But attention brought problems. Not all the powerful species in the capital were happy to see humans gaining importance. The syndicate spread stories that humans had caused the problem just to make themselves look good. Other powerful groups started working against the human delegation. One night, Captain Cole came to with bad news. "We are being isolated," Cole said. "Other groups are refusing to work with us. They are telling species not to cooperate with humans. We have maybe 2 weeks before the council gets tired of us." Felt the pressure. This was the danger they had not talked about. Success could be dangerous. If the humans became too important too fast, the other powerful species would work together to knock them down. Made a suggestion. "We should show them everything," she said. "We should tell the council exactly how we think. We should explain every method we use. We should share everything. Let them copy us. Let them learn from us." Lisa looked shocked. "That is giving away our advantage," she said. "If everyone knows how we solve problems, we are not special anymore." But understood what meant. The real advantage was not in keeping secrets. The real advantage was in how humans thought. No one could copy that by learning the method. It came from how humans were made. Went to again. This time he asked for something big. He asked to share all human methods and thinking with the council. He asked to let every species study how humans approached problems. He asked to make human analysis available to everyone. Did not respond right away. The ancient leader was quiet for 3 days. Then he called back. "You would give this to your rivals?" asked. "You would help your competitors become like you?" "We would help everyone become better," said. "And that helps us more in the long run. If the whole galaxy becomes better at solving problems, there are fewer conflicts. Fewer conflicts mean more trade. More trade means more opportunities for humans." It was the first time had explained something by pure logic and self-interest. Humans were not helping others just because it felt good. Humans were helping because it was the smart thing to do. Looked at with something new in his ancient eyes. It might have been respect. The leader turned to the other council members. They did their silent communication thing. It took a long time, then announced his decision. Humanity would become a full member of the Galactic Assembly. It was not a small thing. It meant humans had real power. It meant humans could vote on big decisions. It meant humans were part of everything. The other species that had been working against humans stopped immediately. They realized humans were not trying to take over. Humans were trying to make everything work better. And if you could not fight someone who was trying to make things better, then you might as well work with them. Was the one who understood something important. He was sitting with when it hit him. They expected us to fail, said. They expected us to get scared. They expected us to fight back when other species attacked us. But instead, we just kept solving problems. We just kept being useful. That confused them. You cannot attack someone who is helping you. Nodded, it was simple but true. In a galaxy full of competition and old power structures, humans had brought something different. Humans had brought genuine helpfulness without wanting something in return. Not right away. Not obviously. The human delegation started doing more work. They helped to settle a trade dispute with the... They helped 3 species figure out how to share a mineral-rich planet without fighting. They helped the Council understand why some new colonies were failing and how to help them succeed. Every solution humans offered was based on the same principle. Look at the real problem. Listen to what people actually need. Find an answer that helps everyone. Sometimes the answer was not perfect, but it was better than before, and that was enough. 6 weeks after the human arrival, the capital held a ceremony. They gave official rank as a full ambassador. They gave the human delegation access to places on the capital that only senior government people could go. They gave humanity real influence. But never forgot something told him at the ceremony. The ancient leader pulled aside into a quiet chamber. You came with nothing, said. No weapons of great power, no ancient technology, no long history of control. You came only with your minds and your willingness to work, and that became more powerful than all the weapons and all the technology we possess. That is what humans are. That is what makes you dangerous and valuable at the same time. Thought about these words for days. It was true. Humans were not the strongest, or the Emmet was the 100th day since the humans had arrived at the galactic capital, stood in his quarters and looked out at the massive sphere of the station. So much had changed, but the real work was just beginning. A transmission came from Earth. It was from the government leaders. They wanted to know what was happening. They wanted to know if humans should send more people to the capital. They wanted to know if Earth could become truly powerful in the galaxy. Recorded his response carefully. He did not want to make promises that could not be kept, but he also wanted to tell the truth about what was happening. Earth is not going to become the most powerful species in the galaxy, he said to the camera. We will never have the weapons of we will never have the technology of the Zenith. We will never have the ancient power of the Council species. But Earth is becoming something else. We are becoming trusted. We are becoming valuable. We are becoming people that others want to work with. That might be better than power. The message took weeks to reach Earth. By the time it arrived, and his team had already moved to the next set of problems. A species called they were having trouble with a disease that was killing their young. The Council's doctors could not figure out the solution. They sent a message to asking if humans could help. Worked on it. She had no special training as a doctor, but she had learned something from working on so many different problems. She had learned to ask questions that other species did not ask. She had learned to look at problems in fresh ways. She discovered that the disease came from something in their water supply. No one had checked the water because it seemed too simple. The Council's scientists were looking for complicated answers. They were looking for genetic problems or viral infections. But the answer was simple. Fix the water and the disease stops. They were so grateful that they offered humans anything. They offered technology. They offered territory. They offered precious materials, turned everything down except one thing. He asked them to trade with Earth. He asked them to become regular partners. This happened again and again. Species came to humans with problems. Humans asked simple questions and found answers. The answers helped millions of lives, and every time humans helped, the reputation of Earth grew. But there was a price to this success. Some of the oldest species started getting angry. They did not like that a young species was becoming important so quickly. They did not like that humanity's advice was being listened to. They did not like that things were changing. A representative came to with a warning. His name was, and he had actually become friends with. There is talk of removing humanity from the capital, said. Some of the older powers want you gone. They say you are too new. They say you have not earned the right to be here. Felt fear for the first time. He had been so busy solving problems that he had not paid attention to the politics. That was a mistake. He called a full meeting with his team. They sat in the conference room late into the night, Earth time. They had to make a choice. They could fight back against the older powers, they could defend their position, or they could do something different. Lisa spoke first. "We could show them that we are not a threat," she said. "We could give them something they want." "What do we have that they want?" asked. "We are the species. We have no real weapons. We have no technology they do not already have." Smiled, she had been quiet, but now she spoke. "We have exactly what the whole galaxy is fighting over," she said. "We have solutions, we have new thinking, we have methods that work, we have trust. Those are the things they want." "Understood. We should make a proposal," he said. "We should offer to help any power that needs help, not just the Council. We should show that human thinking benefits everyone." The next day made an announcement to the full Council. He stood in the Grand Assembly Hall and looked at every species represented there. "Humanity is not here to take power," said. "Humanity is here to solve problems, so we are offering this. Any species that has a problem can come to us. We will work on it. We will find solutions. We will ask nothing in return except to be allowed to stay and continue this work." The room went silent. Then a young stood up. It was who had been friendly to humans since the beginning. "I accept," said. "Earth has already helped my people once. I trust human thinking." Others stood, then more. Within an hour, more than 100 species had agreed to work with humans. The older powers realized something. They could not remove humans without removing the trust that the whole galactic system depended on. Humanity had become too valuable, not through power, through service. Looked down at from the high seat of the council. "You have made yourself indispensable," the ancient leader said. It was not a compliment, it was just fact. But understood, that was the point. Humans did not need to be the strongest, humans just needed to be necessary. That night sat with his team. They had won something real, but it was not victory through force. It was the day the human delegation was supposed to leave the galactic capital, called to his private chambers. It was the first time had been invited to such a place. The room was made of a crystal that seemed alive, shifting colors slowly. Ancient things hung on the walls, things that had been collected over 3,000 years. Looked at for a long moment before speaking. "I will be direct," they said. "When your ship arrived, I believed you would follow the patterns of all new species. You would panic, you would try to steal something, you would demand respect, or you would try to gain power quickly and fail. Instead, you did something I have not seen in 3,000 years. You asked what we needed." Listened, he did not speak, had more to say. "Your indifference to power is strange to us," continued. "You came without weapons or ancient technology. You came with no claim to territory or resources. You came only with the desire to be useful. That made you stronger than anything we have built." Thought about this, it was true in a way. Humans had not been trying to take power. They had been trying to solve problems, and in doing that, they had become powerful. "What happens now?" asked. "What happens when we leave?" Gestured toward a window. From this high point in the capital, you could see everything. Millions of ships, billions of people, thousands of governments and powers all working together. "Now the galaxy changes," said. "Not quickly, but it changes. Every species we speak to now asks us, why can we not think like the humans? How do we ask questions like humans ask? How do we solve problems without weapons?" The ancient leader turned back too. "You have given the galaxy something it did not know it needed. You have shown us that there is a different way. That is worth more than dominion over 1,000 worlds." Felt the weight of this. Humanity's role was not to rule, it was to teach, it was to show others a better way. He returned to his ship. His team was ready. The ship would take off in 2 hours. They had spent more than 6 months at the capital. In that time, they had solved problems for 50 different species. They had built friendships that would last for decades. They had changed the way the whole galaxy thought about solving problems. Lisa stood as the ship prepared for departure. "Do you think they will listen?" she asked. "Do you think they will actually change how they work?" Smiled. "Some will," he said. "Some will try and fail. Some will remember only the parts that suit them. But we have shown them it is possible. We have shown them that there is another way, and once you show people another way, you cannot make them forget." The ship's engines came to life. The capital began to move away from them. They were leaving the greatest power center in the galaxy. They were leaving the place where had expected his greatest challenges. But the real challenges would come now. Now they had to bring these ideas back to Earth. Now they had to make sure Earth understood what humans could become. Was in the communications room. He was already starting to work on reports that would be sent to Earth leaders. The report would explain everything that had happened. It would explain the new trade agreements. It would explain the friendships formed with dozens of species. It would explain the kind of power that came not from weapons but from being trusted. Sat in the science section, looking at data from all the problems they had helped solve. She was organizing it all into something that Earth scientists could study and learn from. She was making sure that the human way of thinking did not die when they returned home. Captain Cole was in the engine room, making sure everything worked perfectly for the long journey back. He did not have much to do, but he was there because that was what Cole did. He took care of things that mattered. Stood alone in the center of the ship. He looked at that showed the galactic capital shrinking into the distance. They had come to the greatest power center in the galaxy. The Empire had expected them to panic or demand things. Instead, humans had just worked hard and solved problems. That was the human strength, thought. Not weapons, not technology, not ancient power, but the simple willingness to work. The simple ability to see what was broken and fix it. The simple desire to help others succeed. The galactic capital became a point of light, then a dot, then it was gone. The ship jumped into faster-than-light speed. The journey back to Earth would take weeks. During that time, and his team would prepare reports. They would figure out how to explain what they had learned. But already knew the most important lesson. The galaxy was not won by those with the biggest weapons. It was not ruled by those who had been around the longest. It was shaped by those who could see problems and fix them. It was changed by those who could work together without needing to be in charge. Humans had come to the galactic capital as unknowns. They were leaving as something more, not rulers, not conquerors, but trusted partners who could be counted on. And in a galaxy full of violence and competition, that was the most valuable thing of all. Earth would never be the most powerful species, but Earth could be something else. Earth could be the place where new thinking came from. Earth could be the species that made the galaxy better. And that, thought as he looked out at the stars, was worth more than any crown or weapon. The human delegation went home, but they carried something precious with them. They carried proof that another way was possible. And they carried the knowledge that sometimes the most powerful thing in the universe is simply caring enough to help. Victory through making themselves useful, and that was a kind of power that would last. Raised a glass of water. To Earth, he said. They all drank. Outside the window, the galactic capital glowed with the light of 1,000,000 worlds, and humans had become part of it. Advanced, but humans were something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans were good at trying. Humans were good at listening. Humans were good at finding new ways. And in a galaxy that had been the same for thousands of years, being different was the most powerful thing of all. Movement, but it meant something big. The Empire's indifference had broken. Humanity had proven something. They were not here to take power. They were here to solve problems, and sometimes that was worth more than power itself. The humans could prove they were worth something. The Council would notice. And if the Council noticed, everything would change. Looked at Lisa, she understood. The real work was just beginning.